Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be talking about how to attempt the unseen poems, which comes in paper 1. So paper 1 has question number 5, which talks about the unseen poem, and we have an unseen poem and 5 questions along with it. We have to answer it. So, how we have to practice the unseen poem, or what all we have to read for answering the unseen poems. Some of the students also ask of how much to practice and how many poems shall we read. So there is nothing to fear of the unseen poem. It is a simple poem which just is given to test the understanding of a literature student and the creativity of how beautiful you are inside out. So that is the main motive of giving an unseen poem. So how you have to prepare, it is simple as I feel, because you might have read a lot of poems, and you know how to comprehend a poem, and you know how to just open up the poem and read between the lines. So if you want to practice, but you can just read the other poems of the poets which are given in the syllabus. Let's suppose it is W.H. Auden or A.K. Ramanujan or other poets also. You can like read the poems and just try to open up the poem, try to understand the poem without reading this analysis. Just read the poem and try to figure out what is the theme of the poem, and what all poetic devices are used in the poem, and what the speaker wants to say. Just try to analyze the poem in your own way. That will help you practice the poem, and it will relieve your tension before the exam. Also, you can also practice the poems of the previous years. If you have not done yet, you can practice the poems of the previous year. It is simpler poem. The poems which are coming in the exams are not that difficult, because everyone knows, like in the exam there is a entire a lot of pressure is there in the exam all in, and it is really very difficult. If it is a difficult poem, it will be really very difficult for people to answer it. So it is a general, a simple poem which you can understand with 2 or 3 readings. So but in exam hall, it sometimes happens that due to the pressure it feels, we tend to miss what we are reading. So I would recommend like 2 readings minimum should be there. So the next thing we are talking about is things to remember, is when you are reading the poem. Let's suppose you're attempting a paper. So when you're reading the poem, you can attempt the poem in the first half, or like in the first when you are addressing it, or you can attempt the poem at the end when you've completed the entire paper. You can just attempt the poem in the last. I used to do it because it used to make me feel a little bit free, because I had written almost everything which I knew. Like I had answered all the answers of the syllabus which are being asked, and the poem, unseen poem, is I had kept it for the last, so that I could analyze it, because it would take time, and I don't know how much amount of time is going to take to understand and to write and to think. So all those things I used to keep it for the last, and I used to write. I used to attempt the poem at the last. So you just need to keep your mind calm, because I had felt it personally, that it sometimes makes us feel that the poem is difficult, or the some words, some lines we are not able to understand, and we tend to miss some of the things. So we need to keep calm and understand that the poem is simple one, and we just have to grasp the essence of the poem. So reading the poem very carefully. So how you have to read in minimum 2 readings. First, read the poem. Just read whatever it is given in the poem without any biasness. You have to answer it, or you have to understand it, you have to underline. Don't do those things. Just read the poem to grasp the understanding, grasp the essence of the poem. Then then read the questions. Read all the questions, whatever it is given. Read all the questions, and again read the poem. So while you are doing the second reading, you will be searching the answers which you have read in the questions. So that will be a wholesome understanding of the poem, because in first reading you have let the essence of the poem be incorporated in your understanding, and the second reading you have consciously tried to find answers of the questions which you have read in the question paper. So also, it is, you have to make it very very firm that the poems are easy. There is no difficult poem given. Till now I have not found any difficult poem. Also, you have to be very much clear that you have to express your understanding. You don't have to like flaunt your understanding of how much you know and how well you know. things about the other poets or the other things, or whatever it is asked in the poem. It is a 10 mark question, 5 questions of 10 marks. Whatever it is asked in the question, just answer that thing. That is very very important, not only in the poem but also in other papers also. It is very very necessary to answer to the point. You don't have to flaunt your understanding of any other thing. Or you might be able to guess the age, or if you know the writer, if you don't know the writer, it is of there is nothing negative in it or nothing positive in it. But if you know the writer, it is well and good. If you don't know, it is well and good. There is nothing to worry about. If you don't know the age in which it was written, you just have to not worry about those things. You just have to read the poem and try to take out the best you can of it. So express your understanding of the poem. That is very very important. Also, write the answers to the point. That is very much necessary, and all these things are just sufficient. And you can just attempt the poem. So we'll be trying to attempt the poem of 2025, which has been asked in the paper 1. So let's look at it. So this is the paper, Civil Services Main Examination 2025. This is paper 1. Then this question number 5. And this is the compulsory one, as you can see. See, question number 1 and 5 are compulsory, and out of the remaining, 3 are to be attempted. So the thing is, fifth question is compulsory. So this is the compulsory one. Read the given poem critically and answer all the questions that follows. So I'll be reading the poem, and we just have to understand what the poem is trying to speak, so we can grasp the essence of the poem. Okay. Myself. I have to live with myself, and so I want to be fit for myself to know. I want to be able, as days go by, always to look myself straight in the eye. I don't want to stand with the setting sun and hate myself for things I've done. I don't want to keep on a closet shelf a lot of secrets about myself and fool myself as I come and go into thinking no one else will ever know the kind of person I really am. I don't want to dress up myself in sham. I want to go out with my head erect. I want to deserve all men's respect. But here in the struggle for fame and wealth, I want to be able to like myself. I don't want to look at myself and know that I am bluster and bluff an empty show. I never can hide myself from me. I see what others may never see. I know what others may never know. I never can fool myself, and so, whatever happens, I want to be self respecting and conscience free. So, this is the poem. It is talking about myself, and you can understand a little bit about the poem or what the poet is trying to speak. So, these are the very, very clear lines of the poet, and there is nothing, no hidden meaning of it. I could not find any hidden meaning. There is just the poet is straight away talking to oneself and is saying of what are the moral character, what a moral character and how integral character he wants or she wants. So now we'll read the questions. It says, what is the main message or moral message of the poem? See, it is such a simple question which is being asked. You just need to express how much have you understood from the poem. So the main message, the moral lesson of the poem, how does the speaker emphasize this throughout the poem? So you have to also see how it is emphasized throughout the poem. There are several lines like I don't want to look at myself and know that I'm a bluster and bluff. So how every line is the answer to question number 1. Also, how does the poet define self-respect and why is it so important to him? So this is a hymn. So the poet has been defining self-respect and what are the levels or what are the standards of moral integrity which the poet wants. So you have to also define self-respect. How does the poet use repetition to emphasize key ideas of the poem? Okay, it is also used, the repetition is used. Why the repetition is being used? Because the poet wants to emphasize on the point, so that it shows that what are the things which are necessary in poet's life. Also, which line stands out the most to you? Now this is the question which was not asked before, because also the question number D and E, these questions I really appreciate, because this is something which UPSC is trying to analyze through the literature paper. The first question number D is showing is asking you your opinion. and which line stands out the most to you and why, and how do they contribute to the overall theme of the poem. Now this is your personal question, and you have to answer it in your own understanding of how which point, which line you think is the most beautiful for you. Also, the question number E is a really appreciated question this time, because it is asking how would you relate the message of this poem to modern society. Now, what had happened in literature subjects, it had happened that the because the subjects are static and there is no current affairs, so there was a sense of current affairs lacking in the literature papers. So what has UPSC done this time? It has asked the relevance of the poem in the modern society. It somewhat links it with the present day world, and it shows that the literature papers are not redundant, and you can always incorporate the current events from the world today. Okay, especially in the world influenced by social media public image. So this is what I was talking about. So we'll be discussing it as a whole. All the answers I'll be discussing as a whole, and you try to answer these questions, and you can always post your answers on in my I've given the Gmail account, email account I have given it, and you can post the answers, and you can try to attempt this poem. It is a simpler poem. You can address the questions which are given. So let's start. Okay, I have read the poem, I have read the question. Again, you have to read the poem so that you understand, or you, because you have known what the questions are being asked. So again, you have to read the poem so that you can answer, you can find the lines which you'll use in the answer. So the main message, it says, the main message, the moral lesson of the poem. So the main message, I suppose I have not read this poem before, but we can see that the poet wants to speak that the person's most important relationship is with their own conscience. The conscience has to be free, because in the last line also it is clearly written, I want to be self-respecting and conscience free. The conscience is very very necessary for the poet. Also, the poem emphasizes the need to live a life that you can be proud of when you look at yourself in the mirror. So there is a line which shows, uh, where was it? uh, I want to be able as days go by always to look myself straight in the eye. So this wants a confrontation of his own character. So because you cannot fool yourself, so so the poet wants to say that the poet also highlights the idea that true success and contentment, it comes from earning your own respect, and regardless of what others might think of you. So you have to be true to yourself. Self respect is very paramount for the writer, and the poem suggests that external validation from people around and societies is ultimately less significant than the respect which you have for yourself. Also, unavoidable truth of self-reflection is expressed there, because the poem argues that you can deceive the world, but you cannot truly deceive yourself, because it is also written, like I never can hide myself from it. So these lines, you have to quote these lines from the poem itself, and you have to substantiate your answer, and it will show that you have read the poem and you have understood you're adding your understanding along with the lines of the poem. Also, the poem's core challenge is to be the true man in the glass. Like, I want to look at myself. There was one line. Okay, I want to deserve all men's respect, and I want to be able to like myself. So these are the lines which shows that the person does not want a life of sham and bluff. Also, it shows that integrity, a strong moral character and integrity is very necessary over reputation. And so myself, when he uses, makes clear, he's using, I don't want to dress up myself in sham. Also, I don't want to keep a closet shelf of lot of secrets about myself. So he wants him to be of a certain strong moral character. And it also says that while it may be easy to put on a good face for others, but the poem, it reminds us that true character is revealed in what you do when no one is watching. So that is the meaning of integrity and how the poet is emphasizing on it. So this is how you can answer it, and how does the poem emphasize it throughout the poem. So we've discussed this. Also, how does the how does the speaker define self-respect? So self respect is an important theme here. So, okay, how does a poet define self respect and why is it so important to him? So, here the speaker defines self respect as the ability to look at himself. There was the line, always to look myself straight in there. So this is self respect. Respecting yourself is that self respect. So he wants that whenever he looks at the mirror and he looks at himself, he wants himself to be proud of himself. There was another line. There was a line which said I wanted some mirror. Line was there. I'm not able to find it. Okay, whatever be the case, it is, I want to deserve all men's respect and also his respect as well. So and also it says I see what others may never see. So he knows that whatever is there in himself, it cannot be hidden from himself. It's because it can be hidden from people around, but he cannot lie to himself. That is self respect. And it isn't about the respect of others, but it is rather about living a life that leaves you with clear conscience. So the poem frames self-respect as a deeply personal form of integrity where you can't hide things from yourself. So self-respect is the foundation of the worthwhile life for the speaker, and he believes that it is more valuable than external validation of fame and wealth. As it is written, I don't want to look at myself and know that I'm a bluster and bluff and empty show. So the poem presents several reasons why the internal self-worth is crucial. Like he says, you cannot fool yourself. And the speaker emphasizes that you might be able to deceive people, as I've said before also, that um, I I can never hide myself from me. I can see what others may never see. So these are the lines. You have to quote these lines and explain it with your understanding, and also the consequences of a guilty conscience is also expressed in the lines, because the speaker's greatest fear is that to hate myself for the things I've done. Where was that line? There was one line, yeah, and hate myself for the things I have done. So these are the things which the poet is very concerned about. And a lack of self respect also leads to internal turmoil and regret. So he doesn't want to do things which will make him hate himself. Also, it's an ultimate measure of success. Self respect is true success for him. It shows that um, it shows that the speaker's primary desire is like not to win respect in people's eye but in himself, and be able to like himself, be able to respect himself. So that is the the goal of the speaker. Also, how does the poet use repetition to emphasize the key idea of the poem? So the repetition is I want to do this and I don't want to be that, and I want to have these things. So he is very much clear and very much straightforward in telling his intentions, and this shows his integrity and moral character also. And uh, and addressing the questions and addressing the lines which he wants, and which he can never compromise with, is shown in the poem very clearly. Okay the okay the repetition, what does the repetition emphasize? The repetition emphasize that self respect or a strong moral character is the key idea of the poem. And the repetition is like he is always using the word I want this, I don't want to look myself at. So this shows that the poet knows about himself and he is very clear with the things. The poem is like a personal promise, you can say, a quiet conversation when he's having with his own conscience, and he's telling that I want this. Sometimes we sit to ourselves and we talk to ourselves and just say the word that I want this, I don't want that, I'm a good person, or these things which you cannot compromise with. So the poet is very clearly talking about the things which he can't compromise with. and he's also using the word myself multiple times throughout the poem. So it is often paired with speaker's desires and the fears also, which I was talking. And this so what does this reinforce? It reinforces the idea that the central conflict and the ultimate judge is the self. You are yourself and you are your judge. So the phrase live with myself and fit for myself, so these phrases shows he's his own judge. And the repetition of the words like I want to or I don't want also, the phrases I want to also expresses the speaker's intentions, and which is clear and memorable, and transforming the poem from a simple reflection of a strong unwavering declaration of the poet's personal values. Also the man in the glass, so he talks about looking at himself in the mirror and clearly being able to maintain an eye contact, something like that, but was written there. So it shows that he wants to confront himself for the things which he will be doing, and he also wants to take the responsibility and be accountable of his actions. So this is the thing of the key idea of the poem. Which lines stand out the most to you and why? So you'll be answering this. Which lines are the most important to you? I feel the lines like I know what others may, okay, I see what others may never see, I know what others may never know, I can never fool myself, and so whatever happens I want to be self-respecting and conscience free. So this is a very strong line which shows that you cannot compromise with certain values of yourself, and you cannot kneel down to some of the things, even how materialistic and how luxurious things can be. You cannot fool yourself, and you whatever happens, whatever be the case, I want to be self respecting and conscience free. Now this conscience free means be relieved of your conscience and be relieved that you are whatever you think. So as Gandhiji said, uh, be your own words, like something, the quote was something like that, which said like you have to act, or you have whatever you are saying, whatever values you believe, you have to act in that way, only then you can be true to your words. That is conscience free. If you are saying something and you're being something, so there is a conflict, there's a dilemma, there is a crisis of conscience, there is so many things in your character which is not going according to the line. So when you're conscience free, you are being the person which you're talking about. You're If you're saying I'm an honest person, so you are also practicing honesty in the adverse situation, so that is being conscience free. So that is this is my most favorite line. And how do they contribute to the overall theme of the poem? So how do they contribute? Because the entire poem talks about the free conscience, or how self-respecting a person can be, and what are the measures of being self-respecting. So this is how the overall this like addresses the overall theme of the poem. And how would you relate the message of this poem to modern society? So try to answer the question number D and E, because this is a relatively newer concept in the literature paper. So do this, and we'll discuss other poems also of the previous years, and we'll be practicing some of the poems so that it becomes easier for us to answer the poems in the exam hall. Okay, till then, thank you.